Hello and welcome to week 6. We will be covering chapter 8, nutrition. So, nutrition is the science of food and seeing how the body uses it for health and disease. We also have essential nutrients, which the body is not able to produce. So, we need to supplement them, and those include proteins, fats, carbs, vitamins, minerals, and water. So, proteins include meat, fish, poultry, eggs, carbs, and grains, fruits and vegetables, and milk. Fats are animal foods, grains, nuts, seeds, fish, vegetables. Vitamins could be found in many fruits and veggies, and also grains. Minerals are in most of the food groups, and water is in fruits, vegetables, and liquids. So we have macronutrients, which are large amounts that the body requires. Macro is large. And then micronutrients, which are essential and required by the body in minute amounts, so very small amounts. We also have digestion, which is the process of breaking down foods into compounds of the gastrointestinal tract can absorb and the body can use. So we have a kilocalorie, which you have seen previously. So now we're going to really go into it. So this is just 1 kilocalorie represents the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 liter of water, 1 Celsius, commonly referred to as a calorie. So as you guys know, that we are on a daily calorie intake of 2,000. That's how much we need to intake in order to really function. And it also depends if you're a sedentary person, you should have less intake, or if you're a very active person like an athlete, you will have to do more calories, just matching what type of activities you're doing, and that's how many calories that you would need to intake per day. So there's the classes of nutrients that provide energy. So fats provide about 9 calories per gram, proteins about 4, and carbs 4. So protein is the essential nutrient that forms important parts of the body's main structures. So this is as well as blood, enzymes, hormones, cell membranes, and it also provides energy. We have amino acids, which are part of the proteins. They're building blocks of proteins. And out of the 20 common amino acids found in the food, 9 are essential, and the rest we are able to produce. So we have complete and incomplete. So complete protein sources that supply all the essential amino acids. So those are meat, fish, poultry, eggs, milk, cheese, and soy provide complete proteins. For incomplete proteins, those are things that come from plants. So we have just dried beans, peas that are part of the legume family. So we have to make sure that we have adequate protein intake, which we can calculate of your body weight in pounds by 0.36. So for example, if you are at 180, you will need at least 65 grams of protein per day. And most Americans are really good at intaking protein. There's no issue usually. The issue with intaking too much protein is that it just turns into fat. So that's why a lot of protein goes into around your stomach and then turns into fat and stores it for energy that you should utilize if you're doing sports or whatever. And if you're not, you should make sure that you're not eating over that amount of proteins. We have also essential fats. So fats are lipids. They're a calorie dense form and energy at 9 calories per gram. We have two different fats. We have saturated fats, which are mostly found in animal products and oils, and unsaturated fats that are found in plants And then also unsaturated fats could divide into further, which we will go into later. We have hydrogenation in trans fats. So hydrogenation is the process in which hydrogens are added to the unsaturated fat and increases the degree of saturation, which means it's turning liquid oils into solid fats. And that's why it might be an issue if you're storing too much fat. And then I'm sure you have heard of trans fatty acids, which are saturated fatty acids produced during the process of hydrogenation. The trans fats have a atypical shape that affects their chemical activity. They are also found in small amounts in some animal fats. So here's the type of fatty acids. We have the saturated that we talked about, trans, which you could find in frozen pizza, some popcorn, monosaturated, which is you could find in a lot of oils and peanut butter and stuff like that that have a lot of rich monosaturated oils. And then we have polysaturated, which you probably know more of it as omega-3s. So this is when your parents tell you to take um, vitamins that have fish oil. For example, some families really do a lot of soybeans, flax seeds, just to make sure that they have enough omega-3s, and then polyunsaturated, which are omega-6, which are in corn and cottonseed oils. So why does fats relate so much to health? So we have two different fats, that turn into cholesterol. So we have the bad cholesterol, which is LDL, and then we have the HDL, which is the good cholesterol that we've talked about in previous lectures. And if you need a reminder, cholesterol is just a waxy substance that is found in the blood and cells, which are needed to synthesize the cell membranes, vitamin D, and hormones. But as you can see, we can have too many, which could go into LDL, and then good ones that help us sustain our body. Carbs, which are a key source of energy, which are found in sugars, starches, and other dietary fibers. Some cells such as those in the brain and other parts of the nervous system and in the blood prefer the carbs. Glucose for fuel. Glucose is just a simple sugar that helps with energy production, which we've talked about before. We have simple carbs, which are single sugar molecules, monosaccharides, and double sugars, disaccharides. Then we also have complex carbs, include starches and most types of dietary fiber. So this is a good chart, just simplifying simple carbs and complex carbs. So complex carbs are even further divided into refined carbs and unrefined carbs, or whole grains. So whole grain is the entire edible portion of the grain. So your rice or your oats. And processing whole grain removes the germ in the bran, leaving only the starchy endosperm. And refined carbs usually retain the calories of their unrefined counterparts. They tend to be much lower in fiber, vitamins, minerals, and other beneficial compounds. Unrefined carbs tend to take longer to chew and digest than refined ones, and they generally enter to your bloodstream much slower. Whole grains are also high in dietary fiber. Consumption of whole grains is linked to reduced risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. As we've talked about insulin, so insulin and glucose levels rise and fall following a meal or a snack. And glycemic index is a measure of how high a particular food raises blood sugar levels. So for people with health concerns, you can really measure what types of food you're choosing by the glycemic index. Added sugars, so these are the empty calories, foods that promoted as being low in fat and are often high in sugars. Usually, typical American diet has 250 to 300 calories. Fiber, so we have dietary fiber, which is non-digestible carbs and that are presented in plants. So we have solubles, which are dissolved in water, and insoluble fiber, which is not dissolved in in water. Then also we have functional fiber, which is non-digestible carbs, either isolated from natural sources synthesized, and they may be added to foods and dietary supplements. And then total fiber, which is your amount of dietary fiber and functional fiber in your diet. So all plant foods contain some dietary fiber. So fruits, oats, we have that really help lower blood glucose and cholesterol levels. We have different vitamins that I'm sure you're aware of some. Humans need 13 vitamins. We have 4 that are fat soluble and 9 that are water soluble. Also, vitamins act as antioxidants. Antioxidants are just the substances that protect against the breakdown of food or body constituents by free radicals. Antioxidants' actions include binding the oxygen, donating the electrons to free radicals, and repairing the damage to molecules. So people could have vitamin deficiencies, but it's actually very rare in the US, which because a lot of people do a lot of supplements. Minerals. So we have minerals are just inorganic compounds needed in relatively small amounts of regulation to growth, maintenance of body tissues and functions. We need about 17 essential minerals. Anemia could occur. It's a deficiency in oxygen carrying material in the red blood cells, and also osteoporosis, which is just a condition of bones being very very thin, and then also are easily breakable due to insufficient calcium intake. Antioxidants, just found in foods, could help block the formation and actions of free radicals that help repair the damage that they cause. And if you're not aware, free radical is just an electron-seeking compound that reacts to fats, proteins, DNA, and damage cell membranes and mutating genes, and in search for electrons, and produces chemical reactions in the body and exposures to environmental factors such as sunlight and tobacco smoke. In general, fruits, vegetables have a high antioxidant value. So we have other substances in foods, so phytochemicals, which are naturally occurrent in plants. And then we have cruciferous vegetables, so anything that is part of the cabbage family. We have 4 different dietary reference intakes. So we have the RDA, recommended dietary allowance, AI, adequate intake, EAR, estimated average requirement, which is the average daily nutrient intake level estimated to meet the requirement of the healthy individual given life stages and gender. And then DRIs for used for maximum daily intakes, which is the UL, tolerable upper intake level. So for those, we will go into further later in the book. Also, there's a different alternative way of eating. So you could be a vegetarian. There's different types of vegetarians. We have vegans that only eat plant foods, lacto-vegetarians that eat dairy products and plant foods, lacto-ovo-vegetarians eat plant foods, dairy, and eggs,